town of Harpswell. We have a lot of people in the, who have come for various items on the agenda. We have 4 official items on the agenda, one of which will probably be tabled. So I would like to begin with calling the meeting to order and asking our vice chair to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Next item on the agenda is to introduce our board members and to declare a quorum. I'm actually going to start with Margaret, our planner.
All right. I'm Margaret McIntyre from Orr's Island, and I'm the Harpswell Town Planner.
Yeah.
Christine Donovan Hall from Orr's Island.
Dan Hobeck, Orr's Island.
Amy Heibel, Harpswell.
Lori Rice, Great Island.
Courtney Snelling's Orr's Island. I'm just going to say something at this point because I was on the Zoom meeting last month. Unless all of us and also whoever is up here at the podium speaks directly into the microphone, anyone listening at home may not hear.
Oh.
So I just want to bring that out. I sometimes couldn't hear. I'm like, hello, I can't hear. But we do have folks who count on looking at our meetings on TV or referring to them, and so it's awkward. But I just want to remind all of us to do that. Can you, Marianne, can you hear? Okay.
She's hearing.
Good.
Thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we have a quorum. A quorum is 4 members. We have 5 members here. I'd like to invite Christine to participate fully, and also just to let anyone know who's watching that we are looking for another planning board member, an associate planning board member. So if there's anyone out there in TV land who's interested in joining the planning board, we'd love to have you apply. Applications are, I think, online and appointments are made through the select board. Christine has been a really dutiful associate member. She's come to almost every meeting. She does her homework, and so I hope I would recommend she be moved up as a full member. So that is that. The first item of business is Jeff Janren. This is an old business item. This is an application to open a commercial shellfish buyer's business. This is, we looked at it last week, or not last week, the last month. Yeah, it's hard.
Seems like last week.
Seems like last week. And we asked for additional information specifically about parking. We asked that the applicant provide us with a map that shows clearly where everything is. We do that so that the codes office and the planning department in future changes to an application has an official record that's both visual and verbal, so we can go back and check against it to look at any changes that may have been made or that are proposed to be made. Before I open it up, I'm going to ask the town planner if she has anything she'd like to say about the application.
Sure. Before we get into the application, I just want to note to everybody that this is being streamed on Zoom, or it's a hybrid meeting. The intent, I think, from the select board is to, is to have planning board meetings and other possible meetings in the future be hybrid. So this is kind of the first one. It's not hybrid for any specific reason other than we're kind of, the town's at that point where we have the technology. So something to look forward to. So you can participate even when you're out of state.
Yeah. We used hybrid meetings that we met on Zoom. I think most of us were on the board then. It worked really well. And in some ways,
But that wasn't hybrid, that was just
No, it wasn't
remote.
hybrid, it was
Yeah.
just Zoom.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it worked better than these meetings because it just had some attributes that we don't get here, but, so I'm glad to see the hybrid.
Yeah, and as far as this application goes, the applicant brought us an updated site plan that was available for anybody to see on the internet, on the town website. He also brought in, I can't remember what day, but he brought in a driveway entrance permit from Van at the DOT. That, I believe, made it to the website, but it came in not at the same time you guys got all your information. So you got a paper copy of that, and it's also on the website. We also got, just yesterday, maybe, so this did not get distributed to everybody, but it's information pretty much that you already have, which is that they got a septic inspection with some notes.
I actually handed that in like a week or so ago.
Oh,
That
right.
one there, the one
Yeah.
the DOT one I just got 2 days ago from him.
Gotcha. That's it. I had it backwards. But this is all information we already have, so that's really helpful. We also got, for communications, emails from 2 abutters. One is for Jim Hartford, and one is from Elaine Downs and William Fall. Do you want me to read them?
Sure.
Okay. From Jim Hartford. Margaret, I received notification for the meeting on 7/16/25. Use of the word to reopen a wholesale shellfish business is inaccurate and misleading. The business has not operated in 8 years, and the previous operation was never permitted. As one planning board member correctly pointed out at the beginning of the last meeting, this application should be treated as a proposal for a new business and should meet the zoning criteria required of a new business. There seems to be a tendency to think this as a grandfathered situation, which it is not. Has a proper site plan been submitted yet as requested in the last meeting? I did not see one on your website. And from Elaine, hello Margaret, I hope you're doing well. I just want to question how the subject of this application review is being stated on the announcement of the July 16th meeting agenda. It states consideration of an application to reopen a wholesale shellfish business in an existing building. How is this being considered as reopening of an existing business when the business has not been operating in 8 years and is no longer grandfathered? In addition, per the planning board, there is no site plan approval for the business on file from 8 years or longer. The wording of the subject of this topic on the meeting agenda should clearly state that this is a new application for a new wholesale shellfish business, and as such, the site plan should meet all specifications for a new business proposal. Has the town received notification of the Maine DOT approval of an entrance permit for Jeff Janvrin's driveway? My understanding is that the approval needs to accompany Jeff Janvrin's application. Thank you for your consideration. So some of those questions have already been answered, and some I feel like we'll answer tonight. And those will be part of the property file if anybody wants to review them.
First of all, my business was established in 1989.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
I'm chairing this meeting.
Okay.
And so I will call on people to speak.
Okay.
We're happy to have you here. We're happy to hear from you. Would you please state your name for the record and speak directly into the microphone, and please continue.
My name is Jeffrey S. Janvrin. I live at 34 Harpswell Island Road. My business was established in 1989. Bought clams there for over 40 years. The reason for my business being shut down for that period of time was that my father died. And going through the process over the last few years, that's why that was not run. It was existing. I feel I should be grandfathered in. I've done everything that I possibly could for the planning board within my capabilities. Besides the traffic, which my neighbors are going to complain, when they say the clam diggers are coming or going, it actually slows the traffic down when you slow by my building. And any code violations or any violations that I might be in, I think that my neighbors should look around and look at themselves. But I'm gonna buy clams, I'm gonna continue to buy clams, and that's the way I feel. I don't know what else to do or what else to say, but we're a fishing community. We're a dying breed. And I think that's something that should be passed. And really, I don't think I should have had to come here because back in the day, there was no site review or whatever. And I have always been permitted, and I have to get permitted by the state of Maine to be able to buy shellfish. My building needs to be inspected. I have to be qualified to run that business, and I always have. So any questions that anybody want to ask about the right-of-ways, which I have, can do anything for all purposes on that, on the deed that I sent in. Pretty much, I should say I'm all set. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Margaret, what is the time frame for grandfathering?
I don't know
Is
that,
something grandfathered in perpetuity?
I don't know the answer as far as site plan review goes. I think if you go through site plan review and you are approved, you're approved, as long as nothing changes. Kind of like the corner market. They reopened as a different business, and we told them, you don't need to come back to the planning board as long as the business doesn't change.
But this never got site plan review.
So I talked to the former planner, Mark Ironman, about this very subject. He said, I thought it had gone through site plan, and I looked at the codes file, I looked at for the planning file, I searched our online, our online database. I can't find anything that indicates it went through, so he seemed to think it did. I can't find any records, but it doesn't matter because we're here today to approve it or talk about it.
So is it, so we don't know whether it's officially grandfathered or not. Sorry, I missed your conclusion there.
I think if it had gone through site plan review, it would be grandfathered.
Okay,
But because I can't find any records of it, we have to go through this process.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
I'm,
Yeah.
excuse me, ma'am. I'm pretty sure my father would have had a site plan review. I don't think the town would have gave him a permit without something being.
I mean, it could have been like maybe because it was commercial fishing, it didn't need to.
That's
Maybe it was
correct.
considered a home occupation, so it didn't need to.
Right.
So there's different ways that it could have, there
Right,
could have
because
been
I'm
a-
in commercial fishing zone 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think, though, it's safe to say this has not been grandfathered. The use may be a use that was there before, but this site plan has not been grandfathered. This is the first time that we've seen it. So I just want to make sure to get that on the table and clarify that, okay? The use may have been there, be pre-existing and been there before, but that's not the same as a legal grandfathering.
Okay.
Just to put it out there.
I have one question for Margaret. This is, what he is proposing here is a permitted use in a commercial fishing 2 district. Is that correct?
The language is marine-related services.
Okay.
That's right. Okay. The way that we usually do this, and this can be a little bit confusing, is I ask to hear from the planner, then we allow the applicant to speak, and when you are finished with your presentation, then the board will be free to ask you questions. We can discuss. The public is always welcome to come up and speak at any point. If you'd like to speak after the applicant has spoken, you're welcome to do that. And then the board will deliberate amongst itself. So, go ahead, and are you complete?
I'm pretty much all set.
Okay, okay.
I just
Yeah,
remember how.
I'm all done
I
now.
remember how it was for me
Yeah.
last month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You're sure to be back up there again, and you'll have to restate your name because we won't remember on the TV land. Okay, anybody from the public that would like to speak?
Do we want to start with the submission requirements?
I wanted to just open it up to see if anybody from the public wanted to say anything.
Okay.
Because you always remind me, include the public. So I'm including the public. And you don't have to get up now, you can get up at any point in time.
When we're
and-
reviewing this.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
we review. We might hit something that you feel you need to speak about, and you can get up and don't feel like you're interrupting us, just get up and do your thing. Okay, so there are several steps that we have to go through here. They can be confusing. I will try to explain what they are as we go through. The first thing we do is we determine as a board whether or not this conforms with submission requirements. The planning board or the planning office, applications for site plan review have to be submitted on certain forms, and they're provided by the codes office, and they have to be complete. So we have to review this to make sure it's complete. The board can waive certain submission requirements, and there are four waivers that have been requested. So what I am going to do is just ask the board to take a look at these waivers that are requested, and then we'll determine whether or not we want to grant the waivers. They are 14.1.3, names and addresses of property owners within 500 feet. The town, this requirement has actually been satisfied because the town provided them. The name, registration, and seal of the person who prepared the plan. This is not applicable because the applicant prepared the plan. The direction of existing surface water drainage across the site. This requirement could be waived since there's no new development on the site, there's no earth moving or things like that. And then the location of the nearest fire hydrant, that's 14.2.11. I assume that, and this says that the submission requirement is satisfied because the nearest dry hydrant is on Dowdy Cove Road. So I think we're to assume that there's no fire protection other than regular fire protection that would come in the tanks from the fire department.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to waive those submission requirements.
Can I just say so moved, or do I have to go through all of them?
Removed.
Okay.
You could say it's written down here for you if you.
As written on page 2, the waivers 14.1.3, 14.1.9, 14.2.9, and 14.2.11 all are written down and can be found easily.
Thank you. Any second?
A second.
Okay, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
So, Courtney, were you saying that the application is complete,
I was saying that we,
granting the waiver?
yeah, that these waivers would be granted. Sorry.
Okay.
That's why I never make the motions.
All right, so we find that the application is complete, given the waivers that we have just granted. Now we go through another step. This is going through the findings of fact. The planner prepares findings of fact for the planning board. When she does that, she's looking at the site plan requirements and then giving us feedback on how each one of those site plan requirements has been met or has not been met. To add further confusion, what we do is we make a motion to find that the requirements are complete. That gets seconded after, and then we discuss. We don't vote on the motion. We just make the motion, it gets seconded, and then we go through the site plan requirements one by one and discuss them to see if they're complete. Sometimes the discussion is very long because we have things that we think need more clarification. Sometimes they're very short because it's obvious that it's complete. So I will move that the planning board finds that the application of Jeff Janvrin meets the approval standards of section 15 of the site plan review ordinance based on the following findings that are incorporated into this motion by reference. Is there a second?
Second.
Dan seconds. Now we go into discussion. First one is 15.1, dimensional requirements. And I'm going to read these through, and if you have a discussion, you want to talk about it, then bring it up.
Okay.
Utilization of the site, 15.2. Adequacy of the road system, 15.3.
I think for 15.3, we could add in that he got approval from the DOT.
Okay. The standard is met since the site will see a minimal increase in traffic and is located on a DOT state aid highway, and the planning office received on July 11th, 2025, a letter from Van Terrell, MD, OT Senior Technician, saying that the department will neither issue a permit nor object to proposed use of the entrance so long as it is not widened beyond the existing paved apron that presently serves both the dwelling and adjacent home business. Any expansion or addition to the existing building and any change in the use of this access will require additional permit approval. All right.
Perfectly vague, yes.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that when we get to the discussion part, right?
We can talk about that right now if you'd like. This is the time.
Yeah.
This is very oddly worded, may I say. The attorney looks like maybe it isn't oddly worded, but for a regular person, it is. Will neither issue a permit nor object to proposed use of the entrance. Why not just issue the permit if the requirements are followed? It just seemed,
I think he's saying that he doesn't need to because it's grandfathered.
That's what my letter says.
Yeah.
And also, it makes it clear, it cannot change.
right,
It
right.
has to be exactly as is, so if there's more traffic, more business use, expansion of the business, that's not grandfathered. And then that has to go back before the
Right.
DOT.
Yeah.
So as long as it is, so that's why the wording,
Correct, ma'am.
Why not just say,
it's legal.
why not just say, we issue a permit so long as these rules are followed? It was so bizarre that I needed to bring it up.
Yeah.
I asked him the same thing, and he said, that's the way it is. I go, you either get one or don't get one, but that's what he told me.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you to state your name if you're going to step up there. This is not a give and take in terms of,
sorry.
you've got to state your name. And Dan, I'm going to call on Dan.
Okay, I think the confusion is that if this were a new road cut, it would require a permit. But because it is not a new road cut, it does not require a permit. But he's saying that if we change that, then we'll have to go through the permitting process.
If you change the buildings or all the things that they
A
stated.
pity you didn't write it, Dan.
Yeah.
However, that said, this is why we need site plan review, because that driveway entrance has now been stated as a fact. It's 49 feet. It's on the record, it's in the file, and this is why we do site plan review. So if that changes, we can go back into the record, look at it, and say, aha, this has changed.
Yeah.
That's why we don't do things just by word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 15, were we on 15.4, access into the site?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. The access into site, I wanted to read this. The planner recommends this standard is met based on the following findings. The site can be accessed from Harpswell Island Road, an existing DOT-maintained road. The site can be accessed from Echoes Shore Drive and First Road, existing private roads, and the applicant did present us with a deed that showed he has the right to use the roads, and it doesn't appear that there are any limits to those rights, except for the width. And then the speed limit is 35 miles per hour in this area, and site distance from the driveway is over 250 feet in either direction. Is there any other discussion on that point?
I think we have somebody who'd
Okay.
like to speak.
We have some folks from the public that would like to speak on this issue.
Yeah, my name is Tom Noche. I live at 18 First Road. And this concerns the flow of traffic. If you're going to permit this, currently, he's got this coming in on Echoes Shores and exiting through his driveway. If traffic gets backed up, that's my only exit, only way in and out. First Row has been washed out due to the storm 2 years ago, and no one's bothered to fix it. So I have an existing medical condition that I have to get out of there quickly. I can't be blocked by clamors with trailers. That's my only way out. So all I'm asking for is for him to reverse the flow. He comes into his driveway and exits on Echo Shores.
Okay? He seems amenable to
That's all I
that.
have to say for now.
Okay,
thank you.
seems amenable. All right. Yes, sorry.
My name is Jim Harford. I live at 9 First Road. And one thing, the statement that the speed limit is 35 miles an hour in Gurnett, yes, it's posted that. Nobody goes 35 miles through there. The only people that do are the people that live there. And most people are going 50 to 60 miles an hour or more. And the town has information on this. 2 years ago, we came to the town and asked for some enforcement out there, and we've gotten nothing. And they have records of what the speed actually are out there. And, you know, it's base approval on a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit is not reality. All you have to do is go out there and stand, or take a walk up and down the road and feel how safe it is. And then, questions for you, Jeff. On,
Can you, sir, I'm sorry, can you speak into the microphone?
Sure.
Believe me,
Thought I
it won't
was,
be-
but-
Well, when you were turning,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be picked up.
Jeff, would be like the number of vehicles, the type of vehicles that'll be coming to your business. Like, how many people have to come to your business on a daily basis for you to be viable, and how many do you expect? And are they trucks, cars? I mean, before it was people pulling boats. So your site plan doesn't really reflect, I'm wondering if your site plan reflects the reality of the type of vehicles that'll actually be coming onto the site. And just as a point, 33 feet is not the dimension of the drive-through, because the math doesn't work. I think you only have a 50-foot boundary there, so it's got to be the total distance from the building and stuff, you know.
Jeff Janvin, pretty much they use,
Thank you, Officer Police Park.
It's a little wiggly.
Yeah, I think one of the legs isn't, yeah. Yeah,
Jeff Janvin, pretty much they come in with their pickup. Some of them do use their skiffs. It's hard to say what I'm going to get on a daily basis. The price dictates where the clam diggers go. But I could say a dozen, maybe. I don't know yet. But I'm willing to do what my neighbor suggested, that they come in through off Route 24 and go that way for him too. But it's hard to say.
Thank you. Let me ask another question. The gentleman that just spoke said that your measurements were off, and by my calculation, if that's a 50-foot space, then you don't have 33 feet between the parking areas. You actually only have 26 feet. So which is correct?
I went with the 33 because the code enforcement officer said I could go as wide as 33, but I could make it minimum less. It's a gravel driveway, ma'am.
Right, so if you park two 12 by 15-foot vehicles within that 50-foot right-of-way, and they're both in there, you only have 24 feet, which,
I don't believe they're in the right-of-way, ma'am. It's on the side.
But you've also got the buildings there, his clam building is within that 50 feet too.
okay.
So it's the clam building, 2 parking bays, and then what's left over is what can go through there. So it's probably like 12 feet.
So what we're hearing here from the neighbors is that the site plan that we are being shown may be inaccurate in terms of measurements.
Okay. But I went by the 33, I guess.
So,
that-
excuse me, sir, did you go by 33 on the basis of something that the code enforcement officer said you could use? But
Up to
did he-
33 feet.
Did he measure it?
We measured a part of it, but that's what I put down there, ma'am.
Okay, so it hasn't actually been measured on the face of the earth, and you're not sure that that site plan is actually accurate in terms of the dimensions?
On the parking, maybe, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
But I don't have to use those parking on that spot. I'm just put them there because of the 33 feet. I could use it if I put it less, 12 feet.
Okay, I'm not quite sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Does anybody else, could someone explain to me?
I
What?
think he's following the parking space requirement.
Right.
So he's putting in that requirement, thank you, to try and meet it, and then just trying to back into it. That's what it
Right,
appears
ma'am,
to
that's
like.
what I was trying to do.
That's kind of what I thought, but if the building is in the 50 feet, then those numbers aren't, they're not matching up.
So we wouldn't be able to use these 3 right here. Just
Hmm.
the 3 next to the building are in question at this point.
I think there's only, is there 3?
It looks like 3, yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe I meant to do 2. But I put 3 down there by the 33.
What I think, though, is that the people for the house typically pull in beside the house, don't they? They don't parallel park right there. Is that true?
And yes, I parallel park by the house sometimes, yes.
Okay.
That's where I park too.
Because if you pulled yourself in next to the house, you wouldn't have to those 2 parallel parking spots next to the house.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you'd have to.
okay. May I?
Yes, please. Dan.
Okay. Am I correct that all of the parking that you've laid out there,
Excuse me, guys, can you not talk? Because I'm trying to listen.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
thank you. I'm assuming from what I'm seeing here that all of the parking for when people are there I was going to say loading and unloading, but unloading, that as they are parked there, there is no obstruction to either First or to Echo Shores Drive. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
They pretty much just pull up next to the building and they're not there very long at all. It's not even really like parking.
Okay, so there is
And
no,
and I have enough room for another vehicle to go beside that if, they need to.
and since this is a one-way coming in as requested,
Yep.
as requested by the neighbor, then there is no obstruction of any traffic that would try to go the other way beyond through the parking area. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Can we
Please.
go back to this for a second?
State your name and speak into the microphone.
Hi.
Thank you.
Tom Noche again, from Harpswell, 18 First Street. One of the cartoon drawing here.
Yeah.
Has the parking, one of the parking spots goes right across, halfway across First Road. It's right here. He's got it going right there.
I see the red,
Right, right.
and it does look like it goes across First Road. Maybe we could get some
Maybe,
confirmation.
I mean, I don't know what the usual rules are, but usually engineering drawings aren't done with crayons.
No, we accept hand-drawn
Okay,
We don't have to have a professionally done. It can
okay,
be
but
hand done.
just so you know that that's the way it is. And are we going to get to something about water quality at some point?
We'll be
We
doing
haven't
that
gotten to that
in a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit.
We're just on the
And
parking.
I just want to say, and we do prefer engineered drawings, but we also realize that we're dealing with local folks here, and so we're not absolutely strict about it. It always
Well,
works.
this is a business, it's not a,
It always works in everyone's favor if we can have accurate drawings.
yes, okay,
so-
thank you, thank you.
We also try not to do undue burden. As long as we can get the information we need, that is sufficient then.
Jeff Janvin. If you look on my map, my property line probably goes about 5 feet into First Road. It's a gravel driveway.
Interesting.
It's right here. If you look at it, and you see, there's First Road.
I thought we had a boundary survey done here. Do we have a boundary survey?
Yeah, here we go.
Sorry about that.
Got a lot of paper.
No, no,
I saw it.
his easel's falling down. Where'd it go?
I mean, I don't go out into the road, but it shows the line kind of going into that gravel road a little bit.
Well, sir, it's either a road or it's
Amy
it's
wants to see.
it's private property. So we have to determine,
Goes on the road to me.
we have to determine what it
Let's
is.
see, okay, that's 24, that's what I'm trying to do, okay. 24, so this is First Road right here, on the back.
It says First Road, but I'm just saying, it
Trying to see if it's any-
Is it a-
shows,
Is it a road of record? Do we have a record? Is it,
it's on my deed.
so it needs to be correct.
It is.
So
It
it's
says
either one
Echo-
or the other. It's either a road or it's your
It
private
says
property.
First Road. Alls I'm saying, ma'am, is my property line inches a little bit into that road.
Okay,
That's what I'm trying to get at.
yep, okay.
On the site map, if you look at it, yeah, the gravel road's here, but actuality, my property line goes over a little bit, so First Road should be to the left a little bit more. Not that it's gonna change, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Do you mean the road should have been moved over a little bit? I mean, it wasn't done correctly? Is that what you mean? Because your property is partly on the road?
It's about 2 feet on the road.
You can't see that goes through.
Not that I'm gonna change anything or do anything, but
Yeah, that's all I got.
I'm not really seeing any indication of this on the boundary survey.
Okay.
If someone could point out to us where your property is and where the road is, that would be. I'm looking at your boundary survey, sir.
Get that.
This is, can you see it? Yeah.
This one's a little bit bigger, so, okay, Harpswell Island, okay, so this is 24.
boundary survey,
First Road is here. So, I mean, that's the property line right there, so it does not include. So First Road,
No, you can use mine. It's also on the website.
I mean, legally, it has to be.
Sir, will you go to the microphone just for a second so that I can ask the question?
Yes,
Everyone
ma'am.
can- So the width of the First Road that actually does not have your property involved, like
Is-
2 feet, is how wide?
It's between 12 and 14 feet there.
Oh, so that's the part that's not at all hung up on your property
Right.
line? Thank you.
So we're looking at this property boundary map, and it doesn't look like First Road
And then
goes,
going out this way.
it doesn't look like your property goes onto First Road.
On the Google, though, it does kind of. When you look,
Is that because?
because of the,
is that
you-
because
it's
there's
not in a
road there?
perfect spot, you know what I'm saying? It's not,
Well, the boundary survey is a legal boundary survey.
that's
so
correct,
It has to
ma'am.
be accurate.
That's correct.
So we have to go by this, which is really kind of why it would have been great if you could have done your map off of the legal boundary survey, so we really had all the accurate dimensions. That would have been great.
Actually, he does have it here.
Does
If you
he?
Look carefully, you can see right here,
Uh-huh.
that line.
I see that. So it does go over.
It does
Yeah,
go
it
over.
does look like it goes over, sir.
Just a little bit, is all.
But on this
N-
one, if
but-
it's following it, it does do a bump out.
Yeah.
In which case, that gets a little question about what happens there, which that's what he's reflecting.
Exactly. Yeah, I see that. So this is confusing.
Not that I'm going to change anything there, but I just wanted it to be aware.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I gave a copy there.
No, Mr. Javin, the whole reason for it is because it's a road, so it's traffic, and it needs to be kept clear of a building construction.
Right.
So if it's property, you could technically put a building into that, but if it's a road, you can't. So that's why we're just trying to look at the
Right,
parameters. and that's
correct,
all we're
I
doing.
understand that, and I do not plan on doing that.
Trying not to beat you up on this, we're just trying
Yeah,
to get a clear line.
right,
Yeah.
I understand.
Here's what I think a solution could be as far as this site plan goes. He could eliminate space
I
number,
think it's 6, right? The one that's in
is
the
it
row?
6?
Yeah.
The space that goes into First Road, or it looks like it goes into First Road, and he could just move it to parallel park behind the house lots.
That's what I was suggesting, just
Yeah.
take one away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just move it. And then as long as the 33 really says 12, or whatever the actual width of that space could be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You said I could go up to the width of 30. That's why I put the 30.
Right.
Yeah, but it does have to match what's actually on the ground,
Right,
see?
and we know
so-
that section from the boundary survey, we know that section's
Right.
only 50 feet wide. So could we change that 33 to say whatever it actually is on the ground? 12?
Yeah,
Well, it has to be, yeah, okay.
Whatever it actually is.
Whatever it actually is.
Yeah.
So the site plan here will need to be redone so it's accurate. Because we can't approve something that, that's not accurate. We can, I think Margaret is saying that we could make some changes. I don't know how the board feels about that. Do you feel comfortable with these verbal?
We could document
These
it.
verbal
In order to
assurances?
get we could document it and say we need to have this done and that done. And in order for us to approve it later, right, like we always do, then we could do it
As a
that way.
condition of.
That's
Yeah.
a condition of
The
approval.
Condition of
Yeah.
approval.
oh, to me doing that?
Yeah.
we
Before
could-
you
That-
can
that-
open it up for your business.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just been a long period, I'm looking to get to work, man.
Yeah, we are,
we
you know, we've been putting our time into,
I know,
we're all trying to help you out.
okay.
Okay, so,
I don't think that should be a big problem to do that,
Okay,
you
condition.
know?
so I'd like to hear language for 15.4, access into the site, to be added on when we go through the conditions of approval. So could someone work that out?
I think we would be doing that in the parking section, not in the access section.
Well, one is, it is access into the site. The entryway shall be from the applicant's driveway, and the
Okay.
exit shall be on Echo Shores Road.
All right.
And this shall be posted,
Yeah,
right? This shall be posted clearly. Right? So that's access into the site. But then, and I also think, we've heard about speed limits, so I think we should ask the applicant to post and make sure that the speed limits are enforced. So the speed limit is, what is the speed limit on that?
35.
35 on that
Are you
road?
talking on Route 24 or on his
Yeah.
private?
Which one are you talking about?
He can't do,
Yeah, excuse,
So maybe 10 miles per hour? That's,
Say like 4 miles an hour.
We like that.
On-site speed? Is that what you're
on-site
talking?
speed, yeah, on-site speed.
oh, no, because he can't dictate Route 24.
No.
No,
That's
no, no,
state,
no.
But on his,
No, I'm talking
on
about
your
on-site.
property as they pull in, that's all.
5 mph, I guess, is that the lowest they got signs for?
Yeah,
Because you don't have
It
much
is.
leadway
It is.
there anyway.
So, and one
Excuse
other
me.
thing would be to add signage that says 5 miles per hour and get that signage, think about where the signage should be located. I think we can work with the neighbors on that. It doesn't have to be done with us right now, but there needs to be 5 mile an hour postage of signage posted on those roads.
I do want to say that I'm one of the people who does go 35 there. And I think it's regrettable that some people are going faster, but it's not the applicant's burden
no,
to monitor 24.
no.
No
You
one's
know.
suggesting that. I wasn't
Well,
suggesting.
well, the abutters have said that the speed limit is a problem,
Oh,
as if
Yeah,
that involves this gentleman, but something else needs to be done.
Well,
Perhaps
I'm
the
gonna go
abutters,
through this.
perhaps the abutters should get in touch with the sheriff and make sure that there is regular monitoring. I'm just saying, because you can't, this does not have anything to do with this gentleman as to how quickly they're driving.
right.
sir, would you state your name?
yes, yes. Bill Fall, Great Island. Going back to a couple issues, the parking, and then the signage you're talking about, and the speed limit, which we've already been through with DOT and everything, got all the pedestrian signs, slow down signs in that area because it's congested. But you're right, that has nothing to do with his problem. That's our problem, but we're trying to deal with it. But to get a sheriff there to, stay there and, monitor is, we only have 1 or 2 sheriffs. They're all over the place, so they can't. And I've talked to them. He can't. He tries, he can do only. But going back to the parking, we've been there over 30 years. We've seen it all there. Even when he had the business of selling clams and stuff. There, as far as trucks coming in, half the time or more, there were trucks with trailers. So you can't just go by the width of a truck, the length. You have to add the trailer, which could be 35 feet, 45 feet, backed up. So there could be a couple trucks with trailers with their boats on it, because that's what they're going clamming. So you have to take that in consideration, that could happen. The clamming business, who knows? It could change, It's, and I hope it does get better, We're all for fishing, But I want to see, that problem solved. The other thing is, I don't want to see any signage, more signage put out on the road saying directions coming in or anything. We have enough problems when we come out of our driveways and other people. That's why we got the pedestrian signs, slower down signs, because visibility, we have a hard time getting out on 24. And any more signage is going to block our visibility farther up. So
Okay.
we don't want to deal with that. So, if it's a direction sign, it has to be, I don't know, whatever you do. Keep it away from the people pulling out, especially the clammers going in there. If they can't see and they're pulling out and the big semi trucks coming down, we're worried about safety. I mean, that's our biggest concern is safety. And then farther on, the other safety, which I don't think has been analyzed enough, is I know they had septic systems checked, but there's a couple septic systems in that small area, leach fields and wells. I don't know what, I think a well that's shared with 2 people.
We are going to be looking at
Okay,
that, things
okay, so
coming up,
that's-
so maybe you could hold your comments.
Yeah,
and
well,
you're
that's
welcome
just
to come
something, another
back.
thing,
Yeah.
so, but I think we're just looking for, the safety issue
Yep.
of all of this.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
If I could just comment, I've been in Harpswell a long time, and I travel all around the whole area. You've got, what was the veggie corner, you've got the post office, you got the problems you're complaining about, I see it too, and it's throughout the entire area in the summertime especially. You have a lot of out-of-towners who do not abide by the speed limits. We just have to live with them, because how do you control them?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying yes or no on anything, it's just a general statement. In living here in Harpswell, what I dealt with too, trying to get out of the post office, it took me 10 minutes to pull out.
Bill Fall, Great Island. No, I understand that. But, I mean, you've been here long enough that the traffic is like 10 times worse
I know.
all year long. It used to be seasonal, but we live up, we're right on Route 24. We've seen it. And so it's not the same as it was 8 years ago when the clams were there. It's totally different.
We
So-
understand.
We understand.
We do.
Oh, good.
That's why we live here,
And-
too.
Yeah, and sympathize. I think a lot of it was COVID, and, this town really changed when COVID hit. Yeah.
Everybody came.
Okay, 15.5, are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, 15.5, access, egress, way, location, and spacing. The business will utilize an existing driveway to the site, which will be the entryway to the business. The existing driveway
I think it's,
to the site will be the main access. And the existing driveway is over 50 feet. Okay, 15.6, internal vehicular circulation. We've had a lot of discussion about that. Anybody want to add anything there? All right, 15.7, parking. Parking spaces required. Okay. This standard is met based on finding that the site plan shows 2 spaces for the house, 2 spaces for employees, 3 spaces for commercial harvesters, and 2 overflow spaces. I think we have, in our discussions, we've kind of come around to seeing that this may not be completely accurate, this parking space count. But I did speak with Margaret earlier this afternoon because I wanted to know how many parking spaces are required for the business, right? And Margaret and I talked, and there's no, if you look at this use, there's nothing in the use that says, clam buyers.
I'd say the
Wholesale
last
clam
one's the
buyers.
closest, would be the closest
Yeah.
requirement.
We thought that, or we also thought business and professional structures. So with business and, what did we say the size of the building is?
We had talked about retail and commercial sales. I think business and professional structures implies.
Oh, that's right. That's
Offices.
right. You're
Yeah.
right. That's right. I'm sorry.
retail, yeah.
You're right.
But it's not really retail sales.
It's
Because he has no retail
Yeah.
customers.
No.
He's
coming
not
in.
selling anything.
And he's not
No.
selling anything.
It,
Buying.
nothing really fits on this. So what did we calculate? Margaret, I had it in,
If you use retail and commercial sales, it would be 3 spaces, 3.5, I think.
yeah, the building is
Yeah.
14 by 45, so that's 630 square feet, which equals 3.5 spots. And that was, I mean, even that is just based on guessing something here.
Yeah.
So I want to know, I just want to ask the board, what do you feel adequate parking is for this? How would you like to calculate it? Do you think it needs to be calculated? Are you satisfied with employee parking? How would you, I want to just get a feel from the board here.
I'm looking at the industrial, public utilities, warehouse, and storage. I think that's going to be the closest fit for this particular operation. Because nothing else really, they're more out there. It doesn't really fit that description.
But it's not a warehouse or storage.
No, it's
It's kind of,
industrial.
yeah.
As close
It's-
as you can get.
But it's also a commercial, it is a site for commercial sales because the applicant is buying,
He's not selling.
he's not selling, but he's buying.
That's a wholesaler.
That is,
So again,
I just tried to go by your standard
I,
the best.
well, we don't really have one. I think that's what we're kind of trying to figure out.
So, but if
How
you
many
look-
employees were you planning on having?
Oh,
I don't remember whether you
Jeff-
said
Jeff
that at the site walk.
no more than 2 or 3. Just
Okay.
2.
Thank you.
So,
plus yourself.
I just want to say, if we exclude parking space number 6, that we said is maybe halfway into First Road, we have several here. We have one,
do.
2, 3, 4, 5. That's just for the building, and then we have the additional 2 parallel for the house.
Yeah.
So we have plenty.
I agree with you. What I'm trying to
Where are the
do is
5?
get for the site plan and for the record, the number of parking spaces that we are going to put into this record.
Oh, okay.
And so I think we're going to say
Doing
two
the,
employees and plus the owner.
So look at me in pickups.
Can we have one conversation?
Sorry.
So 2 employees plus the owner would be 3 parking spaces.
Right.
Can we agree amongst ourselves in this site plan review that 3 parking spaces is adequate? And can we put that in the record?
You're not counting the clammers coming in for parking,
Just
were you?
employees,
And I'm
right.
sorry, this is
Yeah.
what we were talking about, so.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know. It's hard. It's hard because,
If it's 3 for the owner and 2 employees, then yes, 3 would be sufficient, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But not
Agreed.
3 in total.
But Jim
Just
Harford,
for employee count and the owner
Oh,
count.
gotcha. I see what you're saying.
And then an additional 3 for the business,
Yeah.
right?
Right, yeah,
Right.
So we're talking 6.
6.
total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was looking, I'm still trying to visualize your guys coming in, the clammers, as to what they're bringing and how big, whatever it is, just so that I can see for like the length of the parking spaces. Does one require 2 because it's 2 vehicles connected together? I mean, I've never seen clammers come in to deliver their
It depends on
plans.
if they come in with a boat or not, ma'am. And the boats are usually just a small skiff, 14-foot skiff. They're not 30 feet long or whatever. And
So-
they're usually not there long. If they are, the other one will pull up beside them, or that guy will just pull his clams up and pull forward a little bit.
so we'd be looking at maybe 25 feet or something like that. You know, the average car, I don't know, how
Yes,
long is the
correct,
average
ma'am.
truck? Something like 25 feet.
Yeah, and, you know, when we're thinking of parking, we typically think of a retail situation where people are just going to sit there and
Right,
park.
right.
This is really more of a drive-through,
Yeah.
because they're just coming here long enough to unload the,
They're not there more than 5 to 6 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
okay.
Okay.
When they start.
So for this 15 point, I just want to get this in the record. This should say, this standard is met based on the finding that 3 spaces are required for employees plus the owner-operator, and 3 for
Commercial harvest.
commercial harvesters. Thank you. Can we put that into the findings? Okay.
Yep.
Jim Harford, I just, a question for Jeff again. So you're not expecting more than 3 people to be there at a time. No one's going to be backed up onto Route 24. You're not going to, you said 6 to 12 clammers are going to come through there during the day to sell their clams to you. And it's going to, but they're never going to arrive all at the same time so that you have a line of cars backed up onto Route 24.
Jeff Janvin, no, they basically, there might be 2, maybe 3 at once, but they're coming and going at all different times, coming from different places. They could be coming from Freeport, they could be coming from Bailey's Island, they could be coming from Damascotta.
Okay,
you know.
Yeah.
okay. All right. We ready to move to 15.7.2, layout and design?
Yeah.
15.8, unless any discussion? Okay. 15.8, pedestrian circulation. 15.9, stormwater management. 15.10, erosion control. 15.11, water supply and groundwater protection. This is where someone from the public wanted to speak about wells.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm Noche again. I'm a retired U.S. Geological Survey geologist, and the wells in that area are contaminated with E. coli. Have you had the water tested?
Not yet, do I need them?
No, no.
The state makes me,
Uh,
and I've always asked.
His well may be all right, but most of the wells in the area are contaminated.
Maybe
So, yeah, mine is. Jeez.
Okay.
So, does the town of Harpswell take into consideration the water and septic situation?
Well, yes, we do. And this gentleman, Mr. Janvin, has given us information from several different sources that show that there's a 1,000-gallon tank on the west side of the house, there's a pump station.
Right, the tank is the cause of the problem. It was overflowing because it was a crack house there.
Okay,
And they never bothered to pump the tank. It just flowed out onto the ground.
well, hopefully that situation will be rectified and that the applicant will not be operating in that capacity.
Okay, thank you.
We can't solve a problem from a user from the past, but I understand your concern.
Yeah, the groundwater is contaminated.
Yeah, okay, okay,
Jeff Janvin.
yeah.
What he's referring to was when and whoever plowed the driveway, they crushed the D-box on the leaching field. I had that fixed by Mr. Weber. I was notified by the town, and I took care of that, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
I can confirm that because I was in the codes office at the time.
okay.
But that was a leach field on this property, but it served a different house, I believe, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And nobody is living at that house. I plan on redoing the house. So, but I will be. Someone will be.
Okay.
I do have a question. We appreciate you submitted so much material to us, but there's a lot. And I was looking at something from 1991 where there was apparently the holding tank did not have a washdown drain. I have it here.
What are you referring to, ma'am? Which,
This is for 1891, certified soils analyst.
In this packet.
Yeah, it was at there wasn't, this was the former person, I think, who had the business. There was no washdown drain.
That's
from the
correct,
tank.
ma'am. That was all redone over.
That's what I saw that the tank
We had a tight
was
tank put
done,
in, ma'am.
right. But I didn't know whether the washdown drain was still an issue, but you're saying it's a different tank, so it doesn't have that. I read Mr. Weber's
That's
stuff,
correct,
but I'm
ma'am.
not a plumber.
We
so-
built a whole new building there.
Great.
All the plumbing goes directly into that tight tank.
Great, thank you.
It's a 1,500-gallon tank.
Yep.
Yeah, and the inspection that was done in April 2025 says the 1,500-gallon holding tank was approximately 25% full and holding liquid, obviously. The interior walls were inspected with a flashlight. The tank itself appeared to be in good structural condition. It is not in immediate need of service, and the high water alarm was recently replaced by R.A. Weber.
Right, I saw that.
Okay.
It was
That one.
that washdown, I didn't know what
Yeah.
that was. I knew that that was a problem back in 1991, which was why the individual didn't get the permit.
Yep.
Wasn't renewed. So I just wanted to make sure that that was okay, and it sounds like it is. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on 15.11? 15.12, subsurface waste disposal. 15.13, utilities and essential services. 15.4, natural buffering. 15.15, lighting. 15.16, water quality protection. 15.17, hazardous special and radioactive materials. 15.18, solid special and hazardous waste disposal. 15.19, historic and archaeological resources. 15.20, floodplain management. 15.21, technical and financial capacity. 15.22, additional standards for Mitchell Field Marine Business District, which we'll be dealing with later.
Doesn't fly.
Probably around 9 o'clock. Okay. Now, we have a motion that has been seconded to approve the application for Jeff Janren, saying that he meets the submission requirements for Section 14. It has been moved, seconded, we've had our discussion. And I'd like to ask the planner, if she could, to summarize the conditions that we talked about for conditions of approval. Can you do that?
I think that we.
I want to write these down so that when we make the motion, we've got them.
So do you guys want to vote on that first? Or do you want to vote? Or do you want
I
to?
just want,
talk
before we
Okay.
vote on it, I'd like
Okay.
to just make sure we have this in order.
All right, so for the conditions would be, the applicant shall erect signs directing the one-way traffic and indicating the speed limit on the site prior to opening the business. And I would note that that probably, as your neighbor said, needs to be at least 5 feet off the side of the road. Your customers will figure out pretty quickly the flow of the traffic, though. And then the applicant will submit a revised site plan, which deletes or erases parking spot number 6 off the site plan.
And shows,
Oh, and indicates the accurate width of the travel lane.
and that not indicates, and shows it.
And that's
Shows-
First Road, correct?
No, that where it says
That's on his,
33
on
feet.
his, on his property.
On
We-
his property.
With,
Yeah.
of,
You know,
of
the
the
33 feet right here in the middle.
Yeah. That way we know what
Yeah.
we're clearly talking
What it
about.
actually is, yeah.
parking, where would you, on the interior lot?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then we change the parking spaces too. Then we say 3 for employees and 3 for
Right.
commercial harvesters. We change-
Parking will be for 3 employees and 3 do we call them, harvesters?
Yeah.
We have was it 3 employees and owner-operator?
It was a
Owner-operator
total of
came in.
3
Yeah.
owner-operator employees, so it could be.
Two employees
employees.
and
Yeah,
owner-operator.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
That's why I want to write these down.
Yeah.
Anything else that need to go in the final conditions? Okay. All right. Now, so I would like to, the motion is, I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry.
Bill Fall,
Yeah.
Great Island.
Yeah.
Just, I want to be clear with the parking, if there's a truck with a trailer and a boat on it, that is that's 2 spots of parking it will be taking, just so you know.
We do know that.
I know it's a strange, I get it.
Yeah.
Doesn't fit anything, but,
It's kind of a sad thing that it doesn't fit anything because we have
Yeah.
so few of these folks left
Right.
that we don't even have a standard for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I just have one other question. This goes back to, I forget which one, the runoff and all that from water. And, I mean, if we're looking at this, this is all just gravel.
We're not going to be able, no one at home will be able to hear you, sorry.
Yeah, we understand,
Sorry,
yeah.
but
It's all gravel runoff to the road. There's a storm drain that state finally had to put in, I don't know how many years ago, because of flooding to the house across the street. So they had to put a storm drain, which goes out into the cove.
Yeah,
So I'm worried about anything coming off that driveway and Echo Shore Drive, which is it's all flowing into that sewer drain and going out into the cove, which used to be clamming, but it was closed down for many years until I don't know, 8 years ago or 10 years ago.
yeah, totally understand your.
So I'm just concerned about another safety for
Okay.
environmental
Okay,
concerns.
thank you for that. If
Okay.
he was paving that lot, this would be a completely different.
I wouldn't want that,
Yes,
yes.
Yeah.
right, exactly. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
I did think of one other change that we made, and that's the flow of the
traffic.
traffic.
Right,
They'll enter onto the lot in the driveway and exit on First Road and out Echo Shore.
we'll enter and to the applicant's driveway and exit on Echo Shore.
Yeah, not First Road. We're avoiding First Road.
Well, they have to go onto Echoes to get to First.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and there will
goes
be
straight through.
signage.
First road, then to.
Right.
right.
Did I say that backwards?
Yeah.
First to Echo.
It's almost 8
It's
o'clock.
first
And
in-
and we'll exit on First to Echoes.
Yeah.
Right, just what I asked, right.
First to Echoes. Okay. All right, here we go. We have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Hi, Elaine
Hello.
Downs, Great Island. I just wanted to ask, because Jeff, I just want to understand your business a little bit better. So can you give me like a description? Are we talking 7 days a week, sometimes 2 times in a day, that you'd have activity? Is that correct?
Jeff Janvin. Clam diggers pretty much dig 7 days a week. Different times. Sometimes they get 2 tides. But if they get 2 tides, they only get a partial. So usually I'm only buying for 2 hours a day when that happens. An early morning tide and then a late tide.
Yeah.
That is, it's a good point. This is a commercial fishing zone. And we are very respectful of that. So, we understand your concern and as a resident, but it's in a commercial fishing zone. So we support our local fishermen. It's just got to be that way. Okay, anybody else? Okay, motion's on the floor. It's been seconded. We've had discussion. All those in favor? All right, thank you. The application is complete. So, does anybody want to do conclusions of law. Anybody want to do that?
I think you wrote them all out, didn't you?
Okay.
I don't have them written down.
In light of these findings of fact, with consideration given to the supporting documentation in the record, I move that the planning board reaches the following conclusions. The planning board finds that the application of Jeff Janvrin to reopen a previously existing wholesale shellfish buying operation located at Lot 42 on tax map 50 meets the standards of the site plan review ordinance. The planning board approves the application with the following standard conditions of approval, or with the following conditions of approval. The approval is based on the approved plans and on all submissions and information provided by the applicant at final approval and as conditions of approval, whether referenced in any findings or conditions of approval. This approval is not final until such time as final plans showing all conditions of approval and any waivers granted have been signed by the chair of the planning board. This approval is dependent upon and limited to the proposals and plans contained in the application and supporting documents submitted and affirmed to by the applicant. Any variation from the plans, proposals, and supporting documents except de minimis changes as determined by the town planner that do not affect approval standards is subject to review and approval of the planning board prior to implementation. The applicant shall obtain all necessary state and federal approvals before the applicant commences any land use activity pursuant to the site plan approval and shall comply with the requirements of those permits and approvals. One copy of the notice of decision must be recorded by the applicant in the Cumberland County Registry of Deeds within 45 days of the approval, and the book and page number provided to the code officer. Failure by the applicant to record the notice of decision shall void the site plan approval. Site plan ordinance, section 13.3.2. This is number 6. The flow of traffic will enter into the applicant's driveway and exit onto First Road and then Echo Shores Road. This would be number 7. The applicant will erect signs directing one-way traffic and indicating speed limits prior of 10 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour.
Ma'am, I'll put a sign up for 5 miles an hour. I don't think anybody's going to go 10 miles an hour
Okay,
around there. I
5.
think that's a little bit too extreme.
Okay, 5 miles per hour limit prior to opening the business. 8, the applicant will submit a revised site plan which deletes parking spot number 6 and shows accurate width of the driveway and parking areas on the interior lot. Parking numbers have been calculated for 2 employees plus the owner-operator plus 3 harvesters for a total of 6 parking spaces.
We still have 6, though?
Oh, he had 9 originally.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second?
Second, any further discussion?
No.
Just one question. Bill Fall, Great Island. That signage for direction has to be set back
Yeah. that was
away
it.
from visibility,
Yes,
blocking visibility.
Okay.
So, just so you know, it's,
thank you.
all right.
I'm sure that once the harvesters start to come, that they'll figure it out. I'll put the word out, so when they start coming, that they'll come in that way too.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question for information. The harvesters that you have, do you know all of them? Are they regulars or?
I know a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I've bought for 40 years. Some men have passed away, some are coming, but I know a good handful of them.
So it won't take very long before those harvesters are going to understand what you're expecting of them.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Motion's on the table, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Woo! Thank you for your patience, thank you for your input.
Thank you very much to the planning board. It's been a long process for me, and I really appreciate your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
And to my neighbors, I'll do the best I can to keep everything under control.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So Jeff, what'll
Good luck to you.
happen next is I'll prepare a notice of decision that the chair will sign. We'll get it to you, and then you will have it recorded at the Cumberland County Registry of Deeds. Yeah, I'll send you some instructions.
So,
Okay.
do I have to come to another meeting and bring this back before you?
No, you have to
No,
bring it
it's,
to Margaret.
yeah, it's in the conditions of approval, so,
Oh, just
Yeah.
make it up and bring it to you?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And a lobster sandwich won't do. Okay, that was a 2-hour meeting. Does anyone need to take a 2-minute break? Okay.
It was, I didn't feel like
Yeah.
it was that long.
well, in their defense, they were the last on a very long agenda last time they came, and everybody sat through a very 2-hour-long meeting last time.
Yeah, this has
Yeah.
been a lot of work. Planning board's a lot of work. Okay. The next item on the agenda is James and Sarah Merriman. They are not here. And at the last meeting, we asked for some information which has not been provided. So I am going to make a motion that we table this application tonight.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
I just
Table.
want to give you a quick update.
Yeah,
I talked to Kevin Clark of Sightlines. He was still waiting on a legal opinion, and they're exploring other ideas, like Amy's idea at the last meeting to buy other land. So he's still scheming on something, but he
Yeah.
wasn't ready to present to us yet.
Good,
Okay.
that's great, thank you. All right, the next application is Oars and Bailey Island Fire Department.
I'm not gonna vote because, I'm on the board,
Okay,
so I'll just sit here.
you could fill us in if we have any questions. Okay, this is Agenda Item 250701, the Oars Island Fire Department. It's located at 1600 Harpswell Neck Road. It's on Tax Map 32, Lot 6, and it's owned by the nonprofit Oars and Bailey Island Fire Department. The lot contains just under 1 acre of land at 40,778 square feet. It's serviced by Harpswell Island Road, and I'm not sure why this was put in there, but across the street from the Oars Island Cemetery, which may or may not be convenient for the fire department.
Oh, oh,
Sometimes.
I had to put that in there.
that was low.
All right. The lot is improved with 3,518 square foot commercial building, one, and it's a 2-story building. It houses firefighting apparatus, 1 ambulance downstairs, crew quarters, built in 1985 and renovated in 2017. Also on the property is a 2-story barn-style commercial building, primarily used for storage. That building was built in 2006. One thing I want to just draw your attention to is when the Oars and Bailey Island Fire Department came before the planning board in 2006, the proposal to build the storage barn was approved, and in the approval, it was required to vegetate 900 square feet of existing impervious lot coverage because it was under or over the allowable lot coverage. Okay, I'm not sure by how much, but I'm sure Margaret can tell us. Okay, the applicant is proposing to construct a handicap ramp. We might ask ourselves, why are we here? And that's actually a fairly decent question, because this probably could have been approved under a minor site plan. So I want to thank the board and the applicant for, we could have probably done that, but we'll try and make it fast here. All right, I'm just going to move this thing along. So step 1 is to look at conformance with submission requirements, and some of those submission requirements are requested in the form of waivers. So I will accept a motion for the waivers that are in the findings of fact, if anyone would like to make a motion.
I move that the planning board finds that the application of Oars and Bailey Island Fire Department for an amendment to an approved site plan meets the submission requirements of Section 14 of the Site Plan Review Ordinance, subject to the granting of the waivers as noted in the recommendation of the planner.
Well done.
I'm listening,
Yeah,
I'm
but will I
listening.
get a second? That's.
I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Any
No.
discussion?
No.
No. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. All right, so all the waivers. Step 2, findings of fact, conformance with site plan review standards. I will entertain a motion with regard to conformance with site plan review standards, if anyone would like to make one.
I move
Thank you, Dan.
that the planning board finds the application of the Oars and Bailey Island Fire Department meets the approval standards of Section 15 of the Site Plan Review Ordinance based on the finding that the standards were met in the 2006 site plan amendment and no changes are proposed. Those standards as set out in the recommendation by the planner.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you. I will
I'll second that.
second that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, those were standards that are not applicable to the application. Standards that are applicable to the application. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move that the planning board finds the application of the Oars and Bailey Island Fire Departments meets the approval standards of Section 15 of the Site Plan Review Ordinance based on the findings that are incorporated in the motion by reference as set forth by the town planner.
Second that motion.
Lori, you do it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Conclusions of law. Lori, would you like to read the conclusions of law?
I don't do good at that.
All right. In light of these findings of fact, with consideration given to the supporting documentation in the record, I move that the planning board reaches the following conclusions as written in the findings of fact and conclusions of law by the planner dated July 8th, 2025, items 1 through 6.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Okay, the only thing I was wondering, I was so amazed by your amazing way that you stated things, Dan, that I was kind of like, But I wondered, I think it was important that there's going to be less impervious surface than there was before. And I wondered, under the 15.1 dimensional requirements, whether it would be worth saying the lot will be more conforming in regards to lot coverage by more than 200 square feet, because current impervious surface will be decreased. I mean, to me, that was pretty important.
Those will be in the findings, right?
Well,
That last thing.
I just wondered whether that would be worth writing in there.
200 square feet because,
Gosh, we just voted on
Because-
this. Do you want to,
Well, I guess I screwed that up.
I think if we just note that for the record.
note it.
Okay, no, yeah, note it for the record,
Because
because
it
I
isn't,
think that
it
is
isn't a
important.
standard of approval, but it's
Thank
an
you.
important thing to note that for the record.
That's a good
Okay.
idea. That's a good-
Okay, thank you for making, you had my idea
want
and
to
put it in the
amend my
right
motion.
spot, but, no, I thought that
We'll
was
put
an
it in as
important thing that was
discussion.
being done.
Yeah, and maybe you could put in what the current status is and what it will be after the impervious surface has been removed, so that we have a baseline and a
Sure.
new number. Oh,
Sorry, I was out of order.
no, that was
No,
fine.
that's excellent.
No, that's good. All right. Moving right along, the town of Harpswell.
We're good to go.
so
Kathy.
You're all approved. You didn't even have to get out of your chair.
Yeah,
So she'll be coming back to us with another application for those of you who are not at the site walk. They are going to do next a little tiny similar sized project at the schoolhouse. But you run into the same impervious lot coverage situation there, so.
So are you saying I can do a smaller application?
Maybe next time.
I think you should talk with Margaret about that, because it seems to me like it should go through minor site plan review,
Yeah.
staff review. So,
The same size application, just a different group of people.
yeah, it just happens sometimes during the day. It takes a much shorter time. It's a much less formal process. I mean, it does have a formal legal process, but it's much less onerous. Thank you.
All right. So
usually what
we
we
will
do.
get together a notice of decision. Amy will sign it, we'll get it notarized, and you will have it recorded at the Registry of Deeds. It's in Portland. You can mail stuff to them with a check, or you can do an online submission, which I recently learned about.
Oh, nice.
I had no idea.
That's
But
good.
anyways, yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yes.
Really?
we'll see you soon.
I'll take 15 of those,
15 of what?
those applications.
That's why I never volunteer.
I know, really. I know.
Okay.
Now we have a new one.
Yeah.
All right, next one, our last thing is the town of Harpswell subdivision amendment for Mitchell Field. I'll ask the planner if she has, or the town administrator, if they have anything you'd like to present.
I would love it. Actually, I want to just commend you all on what a great job you do reviewing the applications. I got to witness that personally tonight. And I think you were fair to both the applicant and to the abutters who were bringing their concerns forward. So I thought you did a great job.
This is harder than the select board.
It's different. It's very
Yeah,
different.
it is.
They're hard in their own ways.
Yeah,
but,
they are, that is very true.
I do also, so I want to introduce myself, Christy Ayana, the town administrator, and Don Miskell is here. He's the town steward at Mitchell Field. It may be hard for you to see this, but I know you all have it in your packet. Around 2011, I think, the town voters created the Marine Business District at Mitchell Field. It's had a little bit of a reorientation more recently, but we signed the first lease with a company called Running Tide, and that was in Lot A, and Don can show you Lot A. It's near the waterfront, and they have the ability to use the boat launch when we put that in, and they have Running Tide put all of its money into refurbishing the building. The town did not put any money into any infrastructure there. As part of the deed with Running Tide, they were supposed to implement a subsurface wastewater system.
Can I ask you to stop for a second?
Yes, sorry.
Can we have one meeting? Can we help anybody? Does anybody need any help? Did you not have the?
I did, yeah, it disappeared from the website. That's all.
I'm happy to share mine with you
Well, I have one now.
if you'd like. Okay,
So
thank you, Kristen.
we now have entered a new 5-year lease with a company called Mary Meeting Shellfish, and we are adamant that there will be a well and septic system serving the lot, that the taxpayers of Harpswell will not be paying for the installation of that or the cost of that. However, we have been informed by the lessee that there's room for the well on Lot A, but there's not room for the septic system, an in-ground septic system. They currently have 4 to 6 employees, and it is a requirement of the lease that they have to do this. So we are coming before the planning board and asking for the creation of a new 20,000 square foot lot. That is the minimum lot requirement in the Marine Business District. It will be used solely at this time for the septic system. There has been no other proposal for development on that parcel, which is now called Parcel D, and it's less than half an acre. 0.47 perhaps, I think, or it's on the drawing.
20,000 square feet.
Yeah, 20,000 square feet. So again, this is to allow the lessee to meet the requirement of both well and septic, and the septic has to be on another lot. It just won't fit on Lot A. There's not enough room. Questions?
I think it's fine.
I think you've been
Okay.
very clear. The application's very clear. Thank you
And
for that.
obviously, we want to thank Margaret McIntyre for putting that together with our assistance.
Yeah.
And we did hire a surveyor, Pat Hardy. He's been doing the surveys at Mitchell Field since the property was turned over to the town, so he's very familiar with that parcel.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Very good.
Okay, great. Dawn, did you want to add anything?
Not really. Don Miskill, Mitchell Field Steward. Just for information, we talked about Lot A and Lot D. Lot B is a additional section of the Mitchell Field Marine Business District that they have an option on. And Lot C is the cell tower subdivision.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. What a beautiful spot. Okay.
I
First
just
thing-
have this is just a basic question, but this septic field is just going to serve is it Mary Meeting?
Correct.
Just that particular group, right? So it's going to be sized specifically for the number of employees at that
Yes.
particular business?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to try and do what you did.
I will
Okay.
support you.
Any other discussion? I'm going to make a motion.
No, I think.
I'm going to do it.
Do you want to hear from the public?
I think,
Very good.
Actually, I do have a quick, it was brought during the site walk, and I just want it for public record. What if the business closes or does not renew the lease? Then what happens to that lot? Does it stay forever attached to?
Well, I mean, the town owns the lot, so
Right.
we will ultimately become the owner of that infrastructure. Yeah, that's the intention, if they can't continue to use the property. Now, they could decide they don't want to use it anymore, and there might be another business that comes in, same way it happened when Running Tide left and Mary Meeting Shellfish came in.
Yep.
So you just never know. But it seems like this is a good fit, and it's very focused on the hatchery piece, where Running Tide was starting to expand into carbon sequestration and kind of moving away from the hatchery work. So I think this business is really suited for that location.
Yeah, you had mentioned it at the site walk. I just wanted it for record more than anything else.
yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, I'm going to make a motion that the planning board grants the identified waivers and finds that the application of the town of Harpswell for a new lot within the existing Mitchell Field subdivision meets the submission requirements of section 8.3 of the subdivision ordinance and is therefore determined to be a complete application.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. I move that the planning board finds that the application of the town of Harpswell to create an additional lot within the Mitchell Field subdivision meets the applicable state standards based on the findings which are incorporated into this motion by reference dated factors or stated item A, factors subject only to state statutory revisions, agenda item 250702.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? I move that the planning board finds that the application of the town of Harpswell to create an additional lot within Mitchell Field subdivision meets the applicable state and local standards based on the findings under item B, factors subject to both state statutory review and local standards, for the findings of fact dated 250702,
Which are incorporated.
which are incorporated into this motion by reference. Thank you.
Did you say, did I say, someone say
Seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Now, where did it go? Okay.
Page 13.
Dean. Oh, page 14 is what I've got. Page 14?
Bottom
And
13.
C, local standards not applicable to the application.
Bottom 13.
Oh, page 13, Go for it, Dan.
I move that the planning board finds that the standards of section 9 of the subdivision ordinance, as noted by the town planner, are not applicable to this application.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Take it away, Dan.
I move that the planning board finds that the application of the town of Harpswell to create an additional lot in the Mitchell Field subdivision meets the approval standards of section 9 of the Harpswell subdivision ordinance based on the findings of fact by the town planner, which are incorporated into this motion by reference.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Approval of the application and conclusions of law. Help me out with this, Dan. I move that in light of these facts, with consideration given to the supporting documentation in the record, that the planning board reaches the conclusions specified by the town planner in the findings of fact. Does that cover it?
And
Oh.
that's,
I move, let's work on that. I move that in light of these facts, with consideration given to the supporting documentation on the record, that the planning board reaches the following conclusions. The planning board finds that the town of Harpswell has met the standards of the town of the Harpswell subdivision. The planning board approves the application to create a new lot within the Mitchell Field subdivision, subject to the conditions of approval as written by the town planner.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
We're done.
Yeah, and I'm curious, how come sometimes we have to read all of those?
We don't.
Oh,
We're slowly kind of sometimes we
it
do. I'm sorry,
Oh,
you asked
okay,
Dan.
yeah. The reason why we sometimes do it is that there are some items which really require us to look more deeply into it.
Okay.
Such as parking and things like that. You know, but for things that are fairly standard, we rely on the town planner to do the work. We review the proposed findings. And if there are no questions from the public, it's an indication that we have done our job. So we can incorporate all that by reference.
Okay.
So we are making specific findings, but they're the findings that have been recommended due to the due diligence of the town planner.
Okay,
That's why I go through and spend up to 4 hours on some applications
I
to
bet
make
you do.
sure that I know what Margaret is recommending and that I can make the motions or make sure that somebody makes the motions that cover all the bases.
I want to know why we always refer to Mitchell Field in applications that have absolutely nothing to do with Mitchell Field.
It's in the site plan review.
It's in the ordinance.
And you were,
Why do we keep having, I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah, no, we have to say that
Is not
paragraph,
applicable.
that section of the site plan review ordinance is not applicable because it isn't a part of Mitchell Field. If it would be easier if there were a separate section of the ordinance that just dealt with Mitchell Field
Is-
alone. But
Am I the only one that thinks that that just doesn't make any sense?
No.
it does
Thank
seem-
you.
It does seem,
Just check the
It
box.
seems redundant and ridiculous.
But there are some
May I
special
say.
conditions related to Mitchell Field.
And there is
Yeah.
a Mitchell Field business zone. that
Oh,
has
yeah.
its own set of
This made
standards.
perfect sense. All the references to Mitchell Field made perfect sense. But there are other ones I'm thinking, why are we talking about Mitchell Field when it has nothing to do with
Well,
Mitchell?
Because everybody loves Mitchell.
I mean, what we should
But
do
it's not
is
just
what,
shoreline, because there's parts of it that's
Yeah.
farther out, so it hits
Yeah.
all the zones,
Yeah.
really.
what we should do is what we did tonight, which is just say, figure out some way to just say that Mitchell Field is, is not applicable and move on and.
Maybe
do
just
that.
make a separate motion that says
Yeah.
all references to, as part of the, just like we do with the waivers.
Yeah.
All references in the ordinance related to Mitchell Field
We're not-
are not applicable to
I
that.
could, we could do that before the section where standards are applicable.
Yeah.
We could do
Yeah.
one that just says the standard is met because it's not applicable.
That'll work, yeah.
It just seems to be
Like,
You're right.
confusing.
it.
Yeah, how can we make it easier?
You're right.
so now that that's approved, we'll go back to Pat Hardy, and he will put all the conditions of approval on the plan. You guys will sign the plan at the next meeting, like you did tonight, and then we'll record it at the registry.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good. You're welcome.
All right,
You get to sit through all
consideration,
that fun tonight.
consideration of minutes of the 17th and 18th meetings. I think I made some notes, just mostly typos for you, Margaret.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm sorry, I was only really able to skim them, so I don't even feel I can.
Okay.
I shouldn't really vote on the first one anyway. I wasn't at the meeting,
Oh, yeah.
and I did listen to it or tried, but it was a terrible, this
Yeah.
is where I was like, I can't hear.
But the
Oh.
feedback was important, 'cause that way we know
Yeah.
where the gaps are.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I will read them more carefully, but in terms of facts, I can't offer anything. I might find, the English teacher could find typos, it's always possible, but,
Well, then I move that those minutes, those two meetings be approved, subject to the minor,
de minimis changes.
Yeah.
De minimis changes.
whoa, I love that, de minimis
We didn't
changes.
use that today.
I'll second your motion.
All right.
All those in favor? Any okay, all those in favor?
Cool.
Okay.
Skimming right in there.
We usually use
I
that
was
every
almost going
time.
to say, subject to the Scrivener errors.
Ooh. Oh, we like the de minimis,
that
you
one?
know.
So
You must be impotent to use that kind of
I
language.
must be what?
Impotent. An impotent man.
He's just using his vocabulary, that's all.
Okay.
Some new vocabulary words.
All right,
So,
that-
really fast.
Yep.
There is a comp plan task force meeting on next Tuesday, July 22nd
Yeah.
at the Kellogg Church Fellowship Hall at 6 PM. It's the final comp plan meeting
Oh.
before the public hearing, which will be held on Saturday, August 16th. Anybody wants to come, you're welcome to join.
Yep.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Last thing is, I asked Margaret to copy LD 1829 for us. I ask that folks read through this
This is
and,
1829, and it's stapled with the other one.
oh, is it?
Yeah, I
And the
just, I was being
1751
lazy.
as
I was
well.
wondering, it did seem.
1751 is stapled to it.
Okay.
Oh, it is, okay.
Thank
Yeah, they're
you.
both there.
What's,
So,
what have I done with
I
mine?
think it might behoove us to have a workshop on these. I know Margaret hasn't really had time to digest the stuff, and I know that Matt has asked that some of our state reps come to the select board to go over this. Okay. A workshop.
And
Okay.
we also, Christy and I discussed perhaps having Aga from our attorney's office, Drummond Woodsum, come and do a workshop. I have not, no, yeah.
Summarized aspects of the law, and I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why can't I find that?
Mary Ann wants you to go to the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
I think I just for,
I have some correspondence that I've gathered. There's one from Drummond Woodsum. There's one from the Maine Association of Planners. So I have a little bit of information gathered to send out to comp plan people, planning board people, housing committee people, because it kind of touches on these issues touch on all three committees.
I think the planning board is required to attend a workshop
Yeah,
on the, I mean, it was
Yeah.
a little confusing when it said within, 180 days of appointment, but,
But I think it's going to take them a couple years to set up those trainings.
well, I looked for them because, of course, I was very
Yeah.
interested to find out, but I couldn't
Yeah.
find any references
Yeah,
to
they don't
any
have them
trainings.
yet,
I mean,
yeah.
they haven't created the training, but we have to go.
one of the things that strikes me about this, and we don't need to get into it, but we are, under this 1829, we are prohibited by law from exercising certain planning board
Jurisdiction, yeah.
jurisdiction. We're prohibited.
With
And
certain planning board, what?
jurisdictions.
Uh-huh, yeah, I
Like,
saw
there's
that.
certain things that we are, it's really, it's going to have an effect on local planning board.
We had asked Chrissy to come up to the board to talk about what she was, when you were sitting down, you made a
Oh,
comment, and
okay.
that's why we asked you to
Yeah.
come forward. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't-
So, I mean, I think there is a lot of interest in how these new statutes may impact Harpswell. The summary from Drummond Woodsum, I thought was quite good. It said, look, this is a very complex, complicated issue, and it's going to take us time to dissect it. So, we need time for everybody to understand, what does this mean, and what are the implications to Harpswell? And one of the areas, there was a chart, and it showed if you don't have public septic and you don't have public water, then there's
Or
certain,
in a growth area.
and, that certain things don't apply.
Yeah.
So I think, there's some areas that we won't be held to certain standards. But, yeah, we're all trying to figure this out and what it means. So I don't think no one's an expert. Even our law firm is not an expert yet on interpreting this law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
some of the stuff that I've read as a former professional land use planner, I don't think it was very well thought out, because it's going to have a lot of unintended consequences for,
And then they usually try to fix those, right?
and then they try to fix those.
Just
and-
snowballs.
Yeah.
So we
it's-
will try to set up
Okay.
some mechanism to make sure you're better informed, and that includes the select board too.
Yeah,
And We
maybe-
haven't quite figured out what that's gonna look like yet.
Maybe in
and when.
September,
Yeah.
since
okay.
everybody's busy in August,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, September maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Okay.
you for
Thank
copying
you.
this.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, so read it and
Yeah. Read
We-
it and weep.
read it and weep. So I declare this meeting adjourned.
Yay!
Thank you all for sticking it out, and
I'm kind of glad